I will start with a part definitely, nothing. I told you all, I would suggest you all to do everything in one part first, then after you separate later. Okay, so what I will do is I would actually do a sketch. You have to start with a sketch in SolidWorks every time. So you sketch at the right plane, nothing inside. You need to put in your sketch. So you go to Tools, you go to that sketch tools, okay, sketch picture, and then I have a image from Joel. I just put it in. Okay, you see that I put it in here, right? Pull this arrow thing down to the lowest point of your sketch, not the paper, but it's your item, your design. Okay, because that's what you can actually do the gauge on. And then drag this arrow up. And also, I would say that this process can be a little bit more of an estimation, but make a close estimation. Release. Once you release, right, you can actually see that, okay, I have to do it again because of the dimension is in IPS. So I'll just do it again. Okay, I have to, every time when you do the SolidWorks, make sure that your measurements is mmgf because that's where we are, right, in this standards, in terms of unit standards. Okay, again, I will just do it again. Sketch tools. Okay, and okay, again, tools, sketch tools. Okay, I think I have to actually come up with that. Oh, okay, I'm going to this sketch again. Then tools, sketch tools. Okay, sketch picture. Again, press this thing out. Oh. So you all should be able to understand what I'm doing now. Right? From here, right, do again. Pull this thing down to the lowest point of your sketch. Arrow up all the way to where it is. Okay. And then release. What's your dimension, Joel? Longest. How long is this? How big is it? 16 cm.
Oh yeah, 16.
160. Okay, so disappear don't really matter because it just fly to the other side. Okay, try to align this to somewhere else. I mean, if you have a point like this, right, it doesn't matter, but just try to bring it to a point that is maybe somewhere here and things like that, because you can actually use this as a starting point. So you just put it here, right? It doesn't matter. There is no right or wrong answer in whether you put it here or things like that. But just find some place that you can actually get reference from. You want to break this apart later. Maybe I want to do it here as well, so I can break this later. Okay, then I okay with it already. So once you're okay with it, you have the sketch in, right? Joel's sketch is a little bit faded, so it is not so obstructing to you. But some of you, right, may have a fall out of the sketch. Then this thing become like a deadlock, you cannot do anything. Sketch 1, rename it. Okay, this is a habit. I want you all to actually keep on following it. Overlay, right? Overlay. So you just leave it like this and you call it overlay. Okay, so this is what you have now. And then you go and start another sketch. Not start another plane, but start another sketch. You are still using the same tabletop, so you just keep on using your right plane, which is the same tabletop that you use. I really want you all to actually have a very strong understanding on these processes, right? Planes are the tabletops, sketches are the papers, right? If you have different sketches that put on the same tabletop, it's okay. That's why some of you will say, should I actually open up another new plane? Why? You have already a plane that you're using, which is the tabletop that you're using. Like you're eating halfway, you want to add another tabletop to eat and another layer. It doesn't make sense, right? You can keep on using the same layer to do things. Okay, so what it is that you just put another piece of paper down, which is sketch, and then they will tell you which plane you want to do now. Same thing, right plane, just click on that. And now you're in the sketch mode, but you are not on this sketcher. This just happened to be on the same plane that you have, but this is not the things that you have done. This is a new sketch, it's empty. So what you want to do is you just want to actually cut out the thing now, right? So you see how you'll do it. Okay, you'll press the spline, right, and starts doing the spline. A lot of you have this habit I told you, is like this, and then like that a little bit broken into the thing, and then you add on doing this and things like that. And then like that long. So this one, right, you think is tangent, but it's not tangent. So you can actually do this, Select these two together. This one, Control or Shift, and then you tangent. It's already tangent already. Then you can actually do adjustment. But this one is very difficult for you to do because now they actually snap on this point. So it's like you cannot do anything. That's why I want you to do this. It's actually two lines now. You can actually see it if you do spline, right? And you see how I do it now. Okay, I look at here. I want to do this smooth curve. I do this. 1, 2, maybe here, 3, 4, 5, 6. Escape. This is one spline, one line, but with different control points. It's very different from the way that you draw. You draw segments of lines. That's why it's like broken into pieces. For me, it's everything as one go in one line. So you can see that all these, right, are actually control points that you can actually adjust, So it's free to adjust the design and things like that. Right? This is very important. Is like you have to have that habit in terms of drawing, right? So that you can actually do this. Seriously, is exactly the same thing as Rhino. It's the same. Right? But Rhino is more forgiving in the way that whatever you draw, right, they will come up with a surface, but forgiving is one thing. The other thing is that the surfaces doesn't touch each other, which is a hell of a problem when you're doing 3D printing or meshing. This one, right, ensure that everything is smooth, and it will tell you that it's not smooth or whatever, you have to adjust it. So make sure that when you draw spline, you draw it properly like this. Okay? So this is how I will draw it. But maybe I don't like this design and things like that. I just keep on working on this. Okay, so what I will do is I will just keep on doing the spline, right? And maybe I would want to actually just go one round everything, Maybe I don't even do this. I actually want to adjust the design. So what I will do is I will do this. Start from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe here. 6, 7, 8. You see? So you can actually trace out the thing like this, It's a little bit like your Photoshop pen tool, Don't even care about the block over there, right? Because you can actually adjust it later. That's it. Just one go. Right? Don't chop them into pieces and things like that. Your little bit of sharp edges and things like that, you can take care of it later on when you're designing. Because you will be chopping off this to do the design anyway. So when you actually do the adjustment later on, right, you just do this. So this thing, right, is one line, one spline. It's not broken into pieces. Do you see the difference? Okay, the way that you do is you chop this thing and then you adjust, you add another line, adjust, and then this thing is not smooth. Now everything is smooth. Am I speaking too loud?
No.
Okay. I know. Last lesson we banged the other side, right? Yeah, it's speaking too loud. Okay. Okay. So what it is like, you understand what is happening here, right? One line. So I start from somewhere else and then I just connect, and somehow it connect. And you can from here you can actually do some adjustment. Here is like, oh, I want to adjust here. I want to match up with the thing. Here I want it to be a little bit sharper, so I just pull it off here. But how about I do this? You see, that's how you can play with the design now. Here as well, I want to match it up with here. Okay, so this is somehow what you have done, and you just go out. Once you go out, you call it a side profile, right? As I taught you all the time. Side profile. This is something that you don't want to touch anymore because this is your guide. which means that this thing I don't want to touch at all. This is my guide. Okay? Then the next step is I need to start something from here to extract the curve that I have here, right? To actually do it. If you look at this, how you would break it? I would think that no, there is no right or wrong answer. Okay, there is a lot of maybe you can start here like that, but I have some rule of thumb when I'm doing design. Let's say if I need to design a furniture series, right? Meaning I have to design a lot of pieces of furniture instead of just one piece. I will start with a lounge chair. If I need to design a chair or a seating for a company, I will always start from a lounge chair because a lounge chair is just one piece. I can after that, from the lounge chair, I can actually adjust the proportion and become a dining chair, become a task chair and things like that, a bar stool. So that's how I will start my design process. If I'm doing things that is actually doing like a handheld control and things like that, right? The most important thing is what? Is the handheld part, right? So you can actually see the pattern that I do in the demo, right? I will always, right, say I will break from here, which is actually the handle part, right? Because this is the most important thing that is the beginning of the design of your thing. You want it to be whole in specific ways, specific proportion and things like that. So that's why, in terms of design, so I'm not just teaching you in the technical processes, but also in terms of the train of thought as well. I will start with something that is, holding in a way, right? So I will definitely cut from here and see how it looks. Okay, so with this, right, I go out already. So now I have two things. One is the overlay, one is the side profile. So now I add another sketch on the same tabletop, which is a new sketch to extract the thing out. So I just press sketch again. I go to right pane. And what happened is I will just select the whole thing, right? You see, now it's not, when I select the sketch, right? You see, everything is selected. Because of the way that your sketch, right? Everything will chop up into different pieces, right? Oh, then you have to, this time have to select, this time have to select, this time have to select. But when I press one time, everything is selected because now the spline is in one spline. You can see a difference or not? The sketch. Okay, I say it one more time. How come the way that I select, when I press the sketch to do the confirm and the teaser, like to try to copy out the sketch, right? When I press, right, everything is selected. But when you select, right, it's like bit here, bit there, like chop into pieces. Because of the way that you sketch. You chop it into pieces and try to join it together. For me, it's like one go, right? Press everything in one go. So you say, oh, this one definitely you can do this. Then my one is like very, very chop into pieces one. That's why I do it. It's fine. But as long as you can actually define that this part is one piece, this one is one piece, you can actually group them up together, right? When you're actually doing the sketch. So you have to do it on your part based on your design. But now I have this, select everything, and then I convert the this. You see that everything is being converted. But without the control points, because I cannot control, it's just a copy of the point. Easier way to do it is I try to already start to hide the overlay and things like that. So, which means that now this one is the copied lines from the side profile. This is not the side profile sketch. This is the sketch that I copied from the side profile. And then I will try to cut it into the two pieces. So I use a center line, which is a construction line. So maybe I'll just do it until here. Then the other one is I will just maybe chop it off from here to here. Okay? I just do it like this first. I mean, there is no, you can actually do it like this or whatever, but maybe I do it this way. Right? Maybe easier to cap it later. Then here as well, I just actually maybe do it this way. Okay? Then with this, right, I just trim it off. Trim off the top, trim off the bottom. So that's how I get this one. Okay, so I go out. Done, right? Then you can actually start playing with your profile already. That's why I would say that you all, right, don't focus on the front view. Because your front view, right, all the sketches that you have, right, is so flat. Okay, it's not your fault. Okay, it's the mind blocking. Because you all have not really experienced 3D design in a way. You all cannot translate your ideas into 3D in Sketch. So all the design that you come up with this, right? You can see all of you are actually doing squarish stuff, right? That's why I say that don't bother putting your front sketch in. You will draw something that you will extrude out because that's your design. So why not from here, right? You open up some point of imagination for you to see what is the design available to you. You can actually have anything for the profile. It can be round shape, it can be squarish shape, it can be triangular shape or whatever. So let's try. Maybe I want to do a triangular shape now. So you need to actually start drawing the profile for you to actually do the first loft, right? So what you need to do is you just do this. Insert, reference geometry, planes. So this is like what I'm doing now is to create a C plane in SolidWorks. So you know that I always use 3 references because you need at least 2 to 3 references to do a plane. You choose the 2 points that you want the plane to touch, and maybe how to actually do the third one is like I'm using it as a right plane to tell it that it has to be perpendicular to the right plane. You can actually see here perpendicular. So it's normal to the plane, right? Then it will create a new plane which is called plane 1. From here, I would actually do the sketch now for the profile. With this, right, you always see that my pattern might be my habit is I always add center line, which is the dotted construction line, horizontal, across, top and bottom. I always add that first. And then make sure that this line, right, touches with the side profile that you have already cut off. Right? Select the points. What I'm doing here is I actually want to ensure that I have a line for me to actually do the, what is that called? The tangency control. So when I actually do the profile, right, and I mirror to the other side, there will be no crack and no sharp edges. Everything will be smooth. Okay? So now I want to do maybe a triangular profile. Triangle profile doesn't mean that it's really triangular, but maybe it's just something that is a little bit more, AG, right? So you can see triangle in spline, but I can actually pull it out like this. I can pull it out like this one, yes, and then do this, and then tangent, right? This one as well. Pull it out. This one to this one, tangent as well. And then maybe I want to tangent this as well, so I just tangent. See, when you actually tangent, you can actually play around, but it will be very difficult for you to do. So let's say I don't want to do this. I want to actually do this one now. 1, 2, 3. It may look nicer. Yes, it looks nicer now. This one and this one, tangent. This one to this one, tangent. Yes, then I can actually play around with the profile now, right? It looks better, easier for me to manipulate now. Okay, so let's say I'm quite okay with this. You don't have to say that, oh, I have to fix the design now. It doesn't matter, you just leave it like this first, okay? Maybe it's a little bit too big for the bottom, so you can actually pull it back a little bit to the side like that. Okay, so that's how you play around with the design, and you see it's okay for that. Then you do the top as well, right? Okay. You do the lower part as well. Okay. Okay, so you just insert reference geometry again, plane, this dot, and the third one is which plane? Right plane. Okay, from here, sketch on this plane, right? The other triangular profile that you want to do. But before that, make sure that you have the 2 lines for you to actually do the tangency control later on. Okay, make sure that this one hit this dot, coincident. Okay, this one, and this one. And a lot of you is saying, hey, Mr. Kawaii, this plane, right, so small, I think it's larger. This plane is just a guide, it can be anywhere. See? You won't need to make larger, smaller, depend. Right? This is just a sketch. This is just a something like a guide for you to tell you that you are now on plane 2. It doesn't matter, it can be infinitely big or infinitely small as well, right? So I can actually do it this way. If it's blocking away. Then you do the same thing. Draw this profile up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, make sure that this one and this one is tangent. You see the way I do it. I do a lot of tricks, right, that I didn't actually mention as well. Okay, what I did is that. Huh? Oh, no. Okay, so you see, the way that I do, right, this profile and this profile, I sketch the same way. If I'm having a 4-sided angle or whatever, I will actually do it top and bottom the same. Because you will ensure that your loft is nice. You understand? If you have one round and one triangular form, right, it's very hard for you to actually do a nice form. But you can in the way. But you see that the way I do it is, I will do it in the same manner, but in different size and things like that, just to try it out. So once you have this, right, you're okay, right? You just go up. And the next thing is, now you have this, you can actually see that your side profile is like this, so you have more things to do later on, but you are just playing with this first, okay? So your overlay is here, you can double check again, you say, hey, okay, so now I think that the size is okay like that. So you can actually start doing your lofting, right? So you go to surface and you do loft surface. Select this line, done it this way. Guide curves, do it this, okay, do that, okay. The one that you see in the example in the blackboard, right, they are using sweep. Sweep is easy because sweep is just profile and the spline, the rail. It's a one-wheel sweep. But you do loft, right, it will be more controlled and you can actually do it in a much nicer manner, right? It's up to you. You can do whatever you want, which best suits your design. Okay? So now you have this. Remember with this, right, you see the guide curves, right? I think I taught you all before. Press the guide curves and then go normal to profile and ensure that these two lines, right, is perfectly normal to profile. You can actually see here already, right? The design is so much different from the one that you draw in the sketch, which is the squarish form. Can you see? You have this only, and you see that you can actually open up your overlay and see. You can see, okay. Now I can see that this thing is it can be smooth and it can be organic. If you are using your front plane to sketch, right, you extrude it up, and you will just sharp edge fill it, 100%. Right? So now you can actually play around with this radio. Then from there you just carry on building the next step, and then close it up. Then the next step, close it up. Here also close up. Your overall form is up. Then along the way you see that you don't like this, you can still play around, you can still go back to the shape, right? You can still go back to the lofting, right? And then you put maybe a bit larger because my component cannot fit. I put larger. The whole thing is adjusted. Okay? The thing about this is, when you draw your overall profile in one sketch, instead of chopping into little pieces, when you do your freeform, right, this will be recognized as one piece. Then you can play around better. If you chop it up into different form, right, and you press freeform, right, it is also being chopped up into different pieces, which means that it's very difficult for you to play in terms of a general shape. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So that's the hint for you all to do. When you do the spline sketch on the overall shape, make sure that you join them together as one piece. Like, you trace out the thing. When you trace out the form, right, you trace out like this, right? You don't trace out like this, right? that's the difference. So if you trace out like this, the whole thing will be recognized as one piece, and you can actually use this to actually do your freeform. So with this, how to do the freeform? You may think that it's already quite nice. In terms of design, I would have much more, you know, not requirement, but I would think that I would see more than just this lah. This one looks very organic already, but you see this side, super flat. This one is just flat because this thing and this thing is just locked in one direction, right? To improve that, of course, you can actually use freeform, right? I told you all, right? So you use freeform, press on this, see, now everything is there. You can actually add a curve at the edge here, okay? And then start to add the points out here, here, and here maybe, and then start pulling already. See? You can actually start pulling this thing in a little bit. This thing a little bit in, maybe here also. Right, or function a little bit maybe. And then here also, maybe you can actually function a little bit. Right? See? So now it's not only this part, but you have something else here. But of course, you can keep on playing because this thing is not nice. Right? This thing is like you hit something and then it just comes out. So you can actually still play around. Do you understand what I'm doing here now? You understand, right? The freeform thing. So I just use freeform to actually play around with this. Right? Again, add curves. And this is like an ISO curve in Rhino. Okay, so maybe I just play this part with you. Okay, so with this, I just actually push a bit. Ah, nicer. Okay, nice, right? So the front part is now like this, no longer your squarish shape, right? So from here, right, you can use this to carry on building your design. Can you look at it? Do you know how to carry on from here? You just, the next step, right? Then you say, hey, Mr. Carr, I'm here already. Next step, how? Next step is, you open up the profile again. Okay, I do one more step. One more step further. Because,
is the one that he
so now I do this, right? And then the next step is, I want to carry on building the top part. So what I want to do is, I make my side profile visible again. Okay, and then I do a new. Okay, then I open up another sketch, go to the right plane. See, what I do is I select this side profile again here, and then I convert entity again. Okay, once I convert entity, I hide this side profile not to confuse myself. Hide the overlay as well. Okay, so now I'm in this sketch, right? What I will do is I will draw the dotted line again, right? The dotted line, right, this time, right, it has to touch with the points that you have already chopped off, which is actually much easier for you to do now, you know, because you already have a reference point now. Okay. Okay, so this thing is like that here already by touching these two. So I can actually trim this thing off, right? So only left the top part. And I want to actually chop off the top part first because I want to actually play around a little bit more. So I chop off this as well. So you can see, right? These two lines is out. Okay, go out. Done. Then from here, right, I do the same thing. But now I only do the top part because the lower part already done it. So what I need to do is I just insert reference geometry and plane. Select these two dots. Which plane? Again? Right plane, yes. And then this one, right? Then I can actually do another profile that I feel is suitable for my design. So I do the two line again. Okay. This dot to ensure that control and coincident with this dot. This dot ensure that is control coincident with this dot. Okay, and then I will just do the profile. Okay. This one to here. Tangent. This one to here. Tangent. And then just see a little bit at the front. Do you think this is nice or this one is nice? It doesn't matter. Just try it out first. Maybe here like that. Okay, adjust it. You can adjust it later on as well. So with this, right? Because you already have this paper, very easy. You see what happened now? Surface, loft surface. This one, the edge. Okay? But now you need to actually do something about the start end constraint already, because now the start end constraint there is some relationship. Your starting point nothing, but your end point you can actually say tangency to face. You see? You can actually tangent to this thing now. Then guide curves, again, this one, okay, and this one, okay. Can you see now? And make sure that when you do a guide curves, select normal to profile to ensure that you have a very smooth transition to the right hand side. See? Now it's the second part done. How smooth it is. Take a look now. It's actually pretty smooth, right? Okay, right? Okay, Okay, there is still a line there because of the transition between the services. So we can actually adjust a little bit on that. Right? Here the profile, the edge, right? You want to have it, tendency to profile here. Oh yes, now you can actually make sure that the line is like it, not so flat. Okay? The other way, if this one is not smooth, right, you can actually play around with the other function, which is similar to your curve network in Rhino. You can actually do boundary surface. See how it looks like. You can actually say that you select this and select this. So here, right, you can actually select tangency to surface, and then your direction tool is this one. Okay, and this one. Alright, so this one also normal to profile. This one is normal to profile. You may have a better, you see it's nicer now. Can you see? The difference is a little bit better now. Right? Smooth part. Okay, right? Then you open up your side your overlay and see. Does it look good for your design? Yes, it does. Okay, just carry on copying it then. Next step is the top cover up, bottom cover up. And then more or less you are almost there. Then adjust the proportion, side view and things like that. Then after that add the buttons in and things like that. And understand or not? Few things, you have to be very clear where your plane is, what you are sketching, which is you are actually putting a piece of paper on top of links and things like that. Right? You are not actually adding new planes. You are using the same plane, but you are putting different pieces of paper on top on the sketches. Have to be very clear on that. Don't touch the profile that you have done. That is a guide. You will be able to pull out the profile and then keep on building it later on. When you do the spline, remember to do it in one go. Don't chop it up into different pieces. So these are the few things that you have to experience.
The thing is because we start already.
It's better, right? To save yourself from the trouble later on. Okay, Ken? It's just habit. It's just telling habit. So you all have to actually try to follow. Try to find a habit. It's okay now. Understand now? Okay? Okay, right?
Yes.
So we still have about 2 hours. Hopefully we can actually have a cap-up service later on. Okay, next week I will teach you, next week probably on Friday, next Friday, I will be teaching you on the buttons and things like that. Okay? But finish this thing up first. Is it okay? Yes.